Hey, this is Doom here from Dungeons and Doom Biscuit, and I'm actually filming this in the middle of drying the grave golem. And what I think I want to do here is I want to show you guys how you can make a quick hole. So you want a hole, like people are climbing a hole or whatever, you know what I mean? So you just want to get like a rough kind of circle going. And this is an easy craft. You can also do this with like the road making technique I showed. Pretty nice. You can like kind of get some of that going around on a piece of plastic or something and make a nice hole. But get something like that. And then you're going to kind of, you're cutting at an angle. You're going to do kind of the same thing around here. This is just a hole your party might find and decide they want to climb down in. It doesn't have to be a trap or anything fancy. Something like that. Then you get tin foil. You come around the edges. And you don't want that hole to be plain, so what we're going to do is we're just going to cut a little cardboard. I just brought a Pop-Tart box over here for the other video, now I can't find it. We're just going to glue that onto here. I think my glue gun's off. Something like that. Yeah, that'll work. Let's get a little more texture on that surface. Let's clean up our hole a little bit. Just get it, not perfect, but just clean it up a little bit. It's a little better. That's about the size a miniature could climb into, but it would look small enough that you're like, oh, I could get trapped in there, you know? So let's get this, peel this off. See if the hot glue is hot enough to do this. Yeah, it looks like it is. Get that on there, smooth it, move it around a little bit so it sticks good. Then let's just cut off the edge. And you could do this to make little holes, or if you wanted to have a tiny, really tiny pond for whatever reason. And if you saw my pond video, it probably wasn't too different than this. I can't remember how I did it, but it probably wasn't too different than this. All right. And you want to kind of rub those edges down and get some texture. Something like that. Real easy, real basic. Now we're just going to get some glue. We're going to get some flock on here. Oh, you know what? We don't need flock for this part. Let's just paint it brown and do make our thing. Let me get a to make it a little easier to work on. This is just smooth paper. Just do a dab of glue. Let that dry in place. Let's get some of our brown paint here. This is that apple barrel crap I use all the time, dudes. This is a brush we just used to do the paint on the grave thing. Let's paint this. It's okay if you get the brown in there. We're going to be painting that black, but that's okay. Really what we want is good coverage. And this is a project that's lays flat, doesn't have any sticky up parts. So we're not going to actually worry about going around and doing Mod Podge and then putting a clear coat on this. That's not going to be important, because the stuff that kind of lays flat tends to be more resilient. Okay, so we're going to hit that with a hairdryer, and then we're going to start lightening that up. So let me get another brown here. Melted chocolate, we've been using that a lot. Let's hit this with the hairdryer. Okay. Let's get the melted chocolate. Yum. I want chocolate. Let's wipe a lot of that off, but not all of that off. And let's just kind of go around here. And hit a lot of that with that. Then we'll leave that wet here. And we'll leave it in our brush. Grab some of that khaki I use pretty much all the time. Get a little bit of khaki. And we're going to just dab that and lighten that up. It's a little bit lighter than I wanted, but that's okay. Let's get a lot of that off the brush. A lot of that off the brush. And let's kind of come around and just dab it up. Dirt's different colors. If you look at dirt and you actually look at it, it's not just what, unless you buy like mulch. That seems to be a lie on mulch. But if you have dirt, just get it and get an old t-shirt, get a little bit of this, wipe a lot of that off, just kind of come around, catch some of those edges and stuff. Maybe some of those high spots, drag it across them. Alright, now we have a good dirt hole. And we can come back and put some flock on that and make that look decent at this point. Now we got to worry about this inside. So let's get a smaller brush that we can work with. And let's get some black paint. Let me put my brown away. Now, if you have, there's a paint called Black 2.0. If you have Black 2.0, and I am out, it's something I don't really spend the money on. It's expensive. My brother occasionally, for some reason, just used to buy it for me, and I loved it. But what we want to do is we're going to get this evenly coated in here in black one time. Try not to get it on the sides because it will not be a good effect. We're going to hit this once. Dry it. And we're going to hit it again to make sure it's dark. But only worry about the middle at this point. You don't want any paint sticking up. You want to kind of get that, a little bit of a rough texture is okay, but you don't want anything really 3D. Okay, so we're only focusing on the middle there. Let's come back. Our brush still has black in it. We're just going to get a little dip of this burnt umber. And I say a little dip. I got my brush with the black in it. I'm just going to touch it a little bit, and I'm going to mix it around. And then I'm just going to kind of go and hit the outside. And leave that center spot as black as can be. Then I'm just going to barely touch it again and make it a little bit lighter. And then we're just going to hit around the edges where that little bit of wet paint sat, and anywhere we touched on the edges of the hole. Okay. Now, obviously, a hole doesn't look like that. We know that. You know that. I know that. But you will be happy to have something like this to throw on the table. I need a little black more. We need to lighten that outer edge out just a teeny bit. Make it a little bit lighter. There we go, something like that. Now we just kind of want to touch and push it in those cracks. Just a little bit lighter than the other. So I don't, not seeing it through the camera well, but there is a slight gradient that's going in. And maybe when you're doing this, if you're doing enough shading, you'll see it too. But like I said, I can't really see the gradient through the camera, even though I can see it in real life. So let's dry that out. And let's get some glue. It's important that this is dry when you start this step, so that your flock doesn't stick to the spots you don't want it to. Let's pull that condom off the end of the glue. Get a cheap brush. And figure out where we want dirt to go. Or I'm not sorry, not dirt, flock to go. Something like that. Let's get our flock. You don't have to use all one color. I think I might end up using partially one color and then maybe something else a little bit. Then we can get something like a little dark and rich, like this stuff that looks a little more like moss. Get that glue. Get it up in some of those little cracks coming up out of the hole. And you could do this hole as dirt or as stone, mud, whatever sand. You could do it in different stuff. You don't have to do it just how I did it. This was just an idea that I had. And if this idea didn't work for you, that's fine. Because this is kind of a collaborative thing. Yeah, I'm building what I'm building. But you can make it how you want it, dudes. And this is a small size. Here's a standard miniature. He can fit in that hole. I didn't measure it, but I just kind of eyeballed that without holding a mini. But you have this hole, and you can have it going in and out. You can make a little post on this if you wanted with a rope, maybe. That'd be easy to do. Just stick a post in there, paint it, have a rope going down to the hole. Whatever you want to do. You can modify this 100 ways to make it work for what you want. You can build a little cover for it. Maybe some planks laying across it. Whatever you wanted. But this is just kind of what I wanted for something I'm doing today. This evening in D&D. Which we're not playing D&D, but it's like D&D. So, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm not clear coating this or anything. I'm just going to leave it how it is. And if this stuff kind of falls off over time, it'll be okay. I won't be destroyed by it. So, have a great time, and I'll see you when I come back for part 2 of the Grave Golem. Have a great day.